In the early months of 2026, the world found itself standing on the edge of uncertainty. Political tensions that had been slowly building for years suddenly intensified, creating an atmosphere of fear, speculation, and global attention. News channels across the world began broadcasting live updates as military movements increased near several strategic borders. Governments held emergency meetings, alliances were tested, and international organizations called for calm. For ordinary citizens, the rising tension was something they could feel in everyday life. Fuel prices rose, global markets fluctuated, and social media was flooded with rumors and breaking news. As satellites captured images of troop deployments and military equipment moving toward critical locations, analysts warned that the situation could escalate quickly. In many cities, people gathered around television screens or watched updates on their phones, trying to understand what was unfolding in real time. Military experts appeared on live broadcasts, explaining possible scenarios and strategies, while journalists worked tirelessly to verify information. The world had witnessed conflicts before, but this moment felt different because of how connected the world had become. Every development was shared instantly, making millions of people feel as if they were witnessing history unfold live. Governments urged their citizens to remain calm, while diplomatic efforts continued behind closed doors. Yet despite those efforts, the tension only continued to grow. Military exercises increased in frequency, airspace restrictions were imposed in sensitive regions, and the presence of naval fleets near strategic waters signaled that the situation was more serious than many had initially believed. For journalists and documentary teams, the unfolding crisis became the focus of intense coverage, as they tried to capture the human stories behind the political decisions. Soldiers prepared for possible conflict, families waited anxiously for news, and the world watched carefully, hoping that diplomacy would prevail before the situation crossed the point of no return. As days passed, the fragile balance between diplomacy and confrontation began to shift. Reports of small clashes and military incidents started to emerge from the front lines. At first, officials described them as misunderstandings or defensive responses, but the frequency of these events quickly increased. Military aircraft were detected flying close to contested territories, naval patrols encountered each other in tense standoffs, and intelligence agencies reported unusual activity in multiple regions. News organizations began running continuous live coverage, bringing viewers closer to the unfolding events than ever before. Cameras captured the movement of armored vehicles, soldiers preparing defensive positions, and the tense atmosphere surrounding strategic checkpoints. While governments continued to issue statements calling for peace, their actions suggested that preparations for a larger conflict were underway. Military bases increased their readiness levels, and emergency communication systems were activated. Around the world, leaders spoke about the importance of stability and restraint. Yet behind the scenes, strategic planning intensified. Citizens living near the affected regions experienced the situation in a very personal way. Some began leaving their homes in search of safer areas, while others prepared emergency supplies, unsure of what the coming days might bring. Humanitarian organizations also started mobilizing resources, anticipating the need to support civilians if the situation escalated further. For journalists documenting these moments, the challenge was not only to report facts, but also to convey the emotional reality of people living through uncertain times. Interviews with residents revealed a mixture of fear, determination, and hope that the crisis could still be resolved peacefully. However, as each new incident was reported, it became clear that the world was entering a dangerous phase, where a single miscalculation could trigger a larger confrontation. The human stories behind the headlines. While headlines often focused on military strategy and geopolitical decisions, the real impact of the crisis was felt most deeply by ordinary people. Families living in regions close to the tensions suddenly found themselves facing uncertainty about their safety and future. Schools temporarily closed, businesses reduced their hours, and communities began organizing support networks for those who might need help. In interviews recorded for the documentary, residents described how quickly normal life had changed. Just weeks earlier, their daily routines involved work, education, and social gatherings. Now those routines were replaced by constant news updates, emergency planning, and concern for loved ones. Soldiers stationed in these areas also shared their experiences, explaining the sense of responsibility they felt while standing guard during such uncertain times. Many of them spoke about the importance of protecting their communities and maintaining stability even when the situation seemed unpredictable. At the same time, humanitarian workers prepared to assist civilians if conditions worsened. Medical teams reviewed emergency procedures, volunteers organized relief supplies, and communication networks were established to ensure information could reach people quickly. The documentary also highlights how technology played a role in connecting families during this period. Video calls, messaging apps, and social media allowed people to stay in contact despite the growing tension around them. Yet technology also brought challenges, as misinformation spread rapidly online, sometimes causing unnecessary panic. Journalists worked carefully to verify reports and present accurate information, emphasizing the importance of responsible reporting during times of crisis. Through personal interviews and real-time footage, the documentary reveals that beyond the political discussions and military movements, the true story of the conflict was about individuals who continued to hope for peace while adapting to the uncertainty surrounding them. As the situation developed, countries around the world closely monitored events and began responding through diplomatic channels. International organizations called for immediate dialogue, urging all sides to avoid actions that could increase the risk of conflict. Emergency meetings were held between world leaders, and diplomats worked around the clock attempting to find solutions that could reduce tensions. Some nations offered to mediate discussions, while others emphasized the importance of respecting international agreements and maintaining regional stability. Economic markets reacted quickly to the uncertainty, with fluctuations in energy prices and global trade indicators reflecting the concerns of investors. Governments also began reviewing their security policies, strengthening surveillance and monitoring systems to ensure they were prepared for any potential developments. For the documentary team following these events, the diplomatic efforts became a crucial part of the story. Interviews with analysts and political experts helped explain the complex network of alliances, historical factors, and strategic interests influencing the crisis. These experts emphasized that modern conflicts are rarely isolated events. Instead, they are shaped by years of political decisions, economic relationships, and regional dynamics. At the same time, peace advocates and humanitarian leaders spoke about the importance of preventing escalation. They reminded viewers that the consequences of large-scale conflict could affect millions of lives, making diplomacy and cooperation essential. News broadcasts showed images of high-level meetings, press conferences, and negotiations taking place in major world capitals. Each statement released by leaders was carefully analyzed by journalists and commentators trying to determine whether progress was being made. Although uncertainty remained, the continued diplomatic engagement demonstrated that many global leaders recognized the seriousness of the moment and were determined to find a peaceful path forward. Life in the shadow of uncertainty as the weeks progressed. People around the world began adjusting to a new reality shaped by constant updates about the crisis. News channels continued broadcasting live coverage, and documentary teams captured scenes that reflected both tension and resilience. In affected regions, communities worked together to maintain daily life despite the uncertainty. Local markets reopened, schools resumed, limited classes, and public services continued operating while authorities monitored the situation closely. Many residents expressed a strong determination to remain hopeful, believing that cooperation and diplomacy would ultimately prevent a larger conflict. Interviews with community leaders revealed how important communication and unity had become during this time. They encouraged residents to stay informed through reliable sources and avoid spreading rumors that could cause unnecessary fear. The documentary also explores how journalists and filmmakers documented these moments responsibly, focusing not only on dramatic developments, but also on the human capacity to adapt and support one another. Scenes of volunteers distributing supplies, neighbors helping each other prepare emergency plans, and families gathering for evening meals despite the uncertainty showed a powerful side of human resilience. Meanwhile, analysts continued studying the situation carefully, explaining possible outcomes and emphasizing the importance of patience and strategic thinking. While the world remained cautious, there was also a growing recognition that cooperation between nations could prevent further escalation. The presence of international observers and ongoing diplomatic discussions suggested that many leaders understood the risks involved and were working to maintain stability. For viewers watching the documentary, these moments offered insight into how societies respond when facing global uncertainty. Have you ever wished you could send a message to your younger self? What would you say? Maybe you'd tell them to worry less, to take that trip, or to learn that instrument? We spend so much time looking back, thinking about what we could have done differently. But what if we flipped the script? What if, instead of sending advice to the past, we started living by that advice right now, for our future selves? Imagine your future self, 10 or 20 years from now, looking back at today. What would they thank you for? They'd probably thank you for starting that savings account, even if it was just a little each month. They'd thank you for being kind to your body, for moving it more and feeding it well. They'd be grateful you took the time to learn a new skill, something that opened up new doors and new possibilities. They'd also thank you for the small things, for spending quality time with the people you love, creating memories that last a lifetime, for forgiving yourself when you made a mistake and having the courage to try again, for stepping outside your comfort zone, even when it was scary. Every single choice we make today is a gift we either giving or taking from the person we will become. So, here's a challenge. Think of one thing you can do today that your future self will be proud of. It doesn't have to be massive. Maybe it's reading a chapter of a book instead of scrolling. Maybe it's calling a friend you haven't spoken to in a while. Or maybe it's just taking a deep breath and appreciating this exact moment. The past is a lesson, not a life sentence. The future is an opportunity, not a destination. Let's start building a future that our older selves will look back on with a smile, filled with gratitude for the choices we're making right now. Let's give them a story worth telling. What's the first chapter you're going to write for them today? Thanks for watching. If this resonated with you, hit that like button and subscribe for more thoughts on living a better life. See you in the next one.